Hey guys, we are now starting Roots Week 2. This week we're talking about who God is, what He made the world for, all of that sort of fun stuff. And so we're going to start our scripture reading this week right at the very beginning of the Bible in Genesis 1, verses 1 all the way through 2, verse 3. Sort of an unfortunate division right there that they put the first 6 days of creation in chapter 1, but then they put the seventh day of creation in chapter 2. I don't know why they did that. But basically, we read the first 7 days of creation. I'm not going to read all of that to you because you can go and read it yourself, but I just want to read the first line of the Bible to you this morning. It says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." And that is what chapter 1 is all about in the Bible. I think it's important right now as we wrestle through the coronavirus and the other things that we're going through, that we have a good doctrine, a good understanding of creation and who God is. I think it's important, first of all, that we realize that there is no other God. There is no other creator. There is only one creator. And everything that you see, everything that has been made, you yourself, you belong to that God. You will give an account to that God. We all belong to Him. Everything on the earth belongs to Him. There is no other God that rivals Him in power. So this is not like the gods are at war or anything like that. There is one God who reigns supreme over all things. But the second thing to know too is that as you read this chapter, what God does throughout is He creates something that is good. And throughout what you see Him doing is He is sort of taking chaos and turning it into order. You see that from the very beginning, that the earth is formless and empty, and darkness covered the surface of the watery depths. And out of that, God brings order. God separates the waters from the waters. He separates the light from the darkness. He gives the sun and the moon to rule the day and the night. God is taking something that is chaotic and formless and void, and into that He's creating order and making things good along the way. That is God's will for creation. He wants creation to be ordered. He wants creation to be good. And we as people have a role in that as the people who rule the earth, as the people who rule the animals and the fish and the birds and all these sorts of things. That's what we are made of. We are made in God's image to do those things. And so when we look at the world and we see disorder, and we see chaos, when we see the coronavirus, when we see bad things happening on the earth, we need to know that this is not God's original will for creation. This is a result of our rebellion as people against God in the absence of His goodness in the earth. We as Christians have a responsibility to be a taste of the new creation. We are the first taste of what it'll be like when God makes things new again. What we see in chapter 1 of the Bible is what will be recreated on the last chapter of the Bible. In fact, because of what Jesus has done, Jesus is the first taste of what is to come. I was talking with my wife the other day. We were walking around, and it was just, it's beautiful to be outside because the trees have leaves on them again. There's flowers that are popping up and all these sorts of things. And to me, springtime is an incredible thing because you go from everything looking really dead and dull during the winter to new life coming again. I heard this one guy, he's preaching on the resurrection of Jesus in Matthew, and he used the illustration of the crocus flower, which I'm going to be honest, I'm not really sure what a crocus flower is. I don't think those grow around here. I'm not really sure. But evidently where he lives, the crocus flower is the first thing to bloom. In fact, it blooms sort of in late winter when everything is still really, really dead. And he used that as an illustration to say, every time that he sees the crocus flower, he remembers that winter is not going to last forever, that new life is on the way. And in the same way, that's what the resurrection of Jesus is for us. It is the first sign that things will be made new. Jesus is the first taste of the new creation. And because of what Jesus is, we are now participating in that. And so in the same way, in the way that we live our lives, let's live as though we are the first taste, as though we are the first sign of what is to come when God restores creation to what He meant it to be.